Welcome to another Verbling class. This class is about project communications management. When I talk about project management, specifically with communications, I'm actually referring to the Project Management Institute's terminology related to the knowledge area, project management. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Where are you from?
I'm from Colombia.
You're from Colombia. How's the weather today in Colombia? I know it's still winter.
No, we don't have seasons.
I beg to differ. You have the rainy season and the dry season.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have traditional seasons the way most people do.
Yes.
Right.
I live in Bogota, and here the weather is changing all the time. One day is raining, another day in sunshine.
Yeah, well, I can say the same here. Sometimes we get it all in one day.
Yes.
So what brought you to this class?
Excuse me, I don't understand.
Why did you choose this class?
Because I have is interesting in project management.
Are you a project manager? Are you a project manager? All right, so I've lost Jacqueline. Gentleman who's, or madam who's a duck, I'm not sure how to say your name. Is it yeah? All right, nobody's talking to me. So in that case, yes?
Yes, my name is Mohammed.
Mohammed, that's completely, I've never seen Mohammed spelled Y-E-H-I-A.
Yeah, it's that's a second name.
Okay. All right, well, Mohammed, welcome to my class. How are you?
Fine.
Good, excellent. We'll get started here shortly, Mohammed. I just want to go through and say hello to everybody first. Saiban, welcome back.
Thank you, teacher. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too badly. Just normal, every day-to-day stuff going on, you know.
That's good. Good to see you.
Yeah, well, good to see you. We'll get started shortly. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Simon.
It's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a few days.
Yes, it's good to see you too. Thank you.
Excellent. We'll get started shortly, Anna. And Am, hello.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. This is my last class for today.
Yes, you have a lot next week.
Well, not as much as this week, but yes, if you take a look at my schedule, guys, you'll see that I have a lot of classes. I just posted a few classes for next week. I describe what you see, communication, and some game classes. So all of that next week. I think I even have a few classes this weekend. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of talking, but no more than about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to let you guys do all the talking. As you can see from what I have on the screen here, this class is about project communications management. Now, I've highlighted a few things because of, well, it's kind of easier if we color code things to understand what we're doing here. So, project communications management, when we talk about that, we're referring to processes. Okay, who's got noise in the background? Thank you, Jose. Appreciate it. All right, so project communications management deals with a bunch of processes, and these processes are required to ensure, and this is where we get an awful lot of words here, to ensure timely and appropriate. Well, there's a lot of stuff here. Okay, so all of this is related to project information to ensure timely and appropriate planning, collection, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, management, control, monitoring, and disposition of project management. Okay, or sorry, project information. So this is all about project information and how we use the project information. Who gets it, when they get it, how we create it, when we create it, where do we store it, and how do we get rid of it. Okay? So that's essentially what we're talking about. Now, in this class, I'm actually going to have you guys talk about examples of where you've either been on projects or you're aware of projects where people didn't properly communicate. The primary purpose of this class is to get you guys using vocabulary related to project management. Through the entire class, I will leave this screenshot up so that you'll be able to read and see the vocabulary. Okay, so according to the Project Management Institute, an international organization, there are 3 main processes associated with project communications management. The first one, well, it's about planning, right? We need to plan how we're going to communicate. Again, this is a process for what? Gathering and analyzing. And we want to gather and analyze that information to develop a communications approach. So what information are we gathering and analyzing? Stakeholder information and requirements. Okay, so it's all about planning. We need to gather and analyze what kind of information we need to communicate and what approach to take to communicate. The second one is we need to manage communications. And this is the process of gathering project information for communications, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, all that stuff we talked about a couple of minutes ago. In accordance with the communication plan. So we need to manage it according to what we planned earlier. Now with any plan, you guys are going to make changes to that. I can't imagine you ever going to have a plan where you don't make a change. And that's where the third process comes in. That's where we control. And that's the process of monitoring, controlling communications so that way we are aligned with the communications plan or we need to make changes to it. And we do this throughout the entire project lifecycle. Why? Well, as we talked about in previous classes, we need to ensure that the stakeholder requirements are met. And in this case, we need to ensure that information needs of the project stakeholders are met. So all of this is focusing on information and how we get that information out there. And if we do this job well, then we shouldn't need to change our scope, our timeline shouldn't change, and nor should our budget. So this is where I'm going to stop talking. As I promised, this is primarily a communications class where we practice using the vocabulary that you see here. I'm going to use a timer. That's a calculator. Let me try that again. I'm going to use a timer. And when your time is up, you're going to hear this sound. Now, I'd kindly ask you at that point to stop talking because might give a brief overview, but it's time for the next student to speak. So what I would like to do, I'd like to start off with 2 minutes. And I'm going to go to each one of you and ask you to talk a little bit about previous experience on projects where there was a problem with communication. So I want to start with Alan. Alan.
Hi, Deja.
Hi, first of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, Alan, in your previous work experience or even personally where you've been working on projects, can you tell me about some situations that occurred on a project that happened either because of good communications or poor communications management planning?
Okay, I have an example in my work, in my current work. I'm in charge of the department of quotation, the quotation department of the company, and all the time we work with an email. we send an email with a task, and the person that received that email make his work, and then they send me the answer of the task of all of specific work. But in some case, I sending a mail and they don't receive, or they are out of the office, and we don't have an answer in the time in the like the schedule that we have, and we have problem. And then the solution that we do is go to the office or go to the workplace of the worker, and say if he received that email, that task, and make communication in that process.
Okay, so in this example, what I'm hearing is you recognized an issue, there was a failure of communication, you came up with some solutions.
The solution is like go to speak with the worker, with the person, with the engineer. I'm talking about the mail that we send it, and look if he received it.
Thank you. This reminds me of a couple of jokes, of which I won't say in class, but it all falls around the communication cycle. And probably when I tell you this, you'll get an idea of what the jokes are. But if a person is speaking alone in a forest, is that person communicating? Well, the answer is no, because there's nobody there to listen. Now, I'll give you another example. We have two people. One person is speaking to the other person, but the other person is thinking about something else. Are those two people communicating? No, because one person isn't listening. In the communication cycle, we have two people. Ideally, one person is talking, the other person is listening. And of course, each role is reversed. However, there may be noise to the cycle, and the noise can be anything from literally that noise in the background. It could be a failure of the telephone system. It could be problems with an email system. Anything that causes the message being sent to not be received. And this is a perfect example of that. So understanding the communication cycle is very important. All right, AMP, you've also got 2 minutes. Can you give me some examples of where communication has played a role in your project? Again, either positively or negatively.
Well, it's not exactly in a project because it was part of the function of as technicals in a bank. But when I remember when I was in charge for a week, that it was our shift for a week, and we are not we are supposed to have that rule that who was in charge supposed not to travel. And when I arrived to the bank, and my boss, he said that he was a problem in an agency in another province, and you have to travel. But I am not. I am in charge this week. I supposed not to travel. No, you have to go. Well, he said that I have to work to travel, because there was the agency was out of working, and it is supposed to have a problem with the UPS, and it doesn't work anymore, and the agency was out. And well, I was traveling for around 5 hours. When we arrived there, just it was that they have a problem with the power. The power was out for an hour, and when they was back, just it's like the breaker just jump, and it was just a problem that we could solve by a phone call, just saying restart the UPS, just turn down and turn on again, And yes, we spend the money with the travel, the resources, and we spend time, wasting time, resources. We just arrive there just to switch a button.
Well, I'm hearing several things here. So obviously there was some sort of planning involved because you were told that when you're in charge of this, you are not to travel. But then somebody else said, well, I'm sorry, I need you to travel.
Yes.
So it sounds like the problem here was in the planning communications cycle or phase. Not enough people were consulted. So here's an example of when you're planning your communications, make sure all the key stakeholders are engaged, okay? Because you need to develop the appropriate communications approach. And, well, obviously, in this case, not everybody was consulted. Okay, thank you very much. Next, Anna. Anna, could you do the same for us, please? Tell us about an example.
My gosh, I can try because
Sure.
I haven't experienced a specific problem in a project, but
Maybe, Anna, instead, if you haven't experienced a particular
no,
problem.
no. I once I had a problem because of the inconsistent management. You know, as you know, I work for the city hall. You know, for the government, and we have a lot of bosses, a bunch of bosses. And when I was working in another community outreach, I didn't have a dental office there, and I had to commute a lot, you know. Uh, each day I was working a different place. And then one boss told me there will be a course tomorrow, and it's mandatory for everyone to attend it. And the other boss told me, no, you have to to show up here tomorrow because I already set up your schedule. And then I thought, my gosh, what am I supposed to do now? Clone myself because I cannot uh, go to two places at the same time. And my higher boss, higher than those two, wasn't available. And and then I decided, you know what? I will go to take the course and then I will solve it. I will talk to my higher boss and God helps me. And I did it. But sorry, I
Well,
don't have
Anna,
it.
that's actually a good example. So in a situation like that, what's happening is somebody's giving you a problem. Okay, you got two senior people that are telling you different things. Now, one approach that I might try in that situation, I say, look, my direct manager's not here today. Both of you two are higher than me. Maybe you two, why don't you two have a discussion and then I'll do whatever you guys agree upon. Because they're putting you in a very tough spot, and that is a tough situation because your chain of command is important. But when you get two people with two different opposing tasks, and each one wants it done, the best thing is to put it back onto them. Decide, look, my direct manager isn't here. You guys decide which to do because obviously I can't do both. And in a lot of organizations that does work. But yeah, it's not easy, and it is unfair as project managers to put the monkey on somebody else's back. We need to take responsibility for the project schedule, and when issues come up, we need to resolve them. We need to control what's happening. Thank you, Anna. Jacqueline, can you give us an example of a project you worked on where there was either excellent or poor communications, and why?
I have both examples. One of them is an excellent communication. I worked in a supervisor of contracts in tourism, and my part in every project is supervise the execution and the accomplishment of the objective in the contracts. With a lot of them, we have a successful experience because we have excellent communications with the contractors. And at the start of the project, we put goals and a very strict schedule. And most times, the contractors respect that schedule. But some months ago, we have a very huge problem because I supervise the development of the national web page of tourism in Colombia, and the contractors didn't respect the schedule, and they put online the web page, and they didn't say anything to us or to me. And I know that the web page is online by news. In the newspaper, I wrote the web page was online, and the web page had a lot of problems. For that reason, in my office, my boss and I have problems.
Yeah, and again, it's partially a failure to plan, and then when you do have a really good plan, it's not managing that communications, or it's unable to make changes to the communications that can play a large role. And it's tough because usually people are put in places where they don't have the authority to act, and when issues pop up, it's just as important then to manage the communication of issues as it is to actually manage communication of project information. And what I want to share with you guys, and I don't have it with me today, I'd have to go looking for it, it's what I called an issues and action items log. And I use Excel. So in the very left column, I'll just have a number from 1 to infinity, and that'll be the issue or action item number. Next column over will be details. Okay, those will be the details of the issue, okay, or the action item. And then we'll have the date raised and who raised it. So we have some audit tracking here. We know who brought up the issue and when it was brought up. Then we have another column that's called recommendations. And this is what will be done. The next column over from that will be, I'm trying to remember here, the person that it's assigned to, and date completed. This may not be filled out. And then the column after that is comments. Now in the comments, we put everything else. So you might have an issue that could take several weeks to resolve. And every time you hear more information, well, you put that into the comments. And what I do is I always start with the date and the comment. If I have something to add next day, I add that date and the information. So even if I have a bad memory, I have a complete log of everything that is going on. And if you're familiar with Excel, set filtering so that way you can track open, closed, pending, whatever status these issues and action items are. That's a tool I've been using since I became a PM, and it's one that saves my neck every day. All right, next to Jose. Jose, you've got 2 minutes.
Okay,
You've got an example for us.
Okay. I was working in a tiles company, and I was in charge of assemble a new production line for this company. I had to establish a plan communication management. I had to require all the necessary information for the suppliers. After that, I had to manage the communications between the suppliers because it was necessary that the suppliers was in touch each together. And after that, I had to take control that the communication was good because they had to accomplish the deadlines. Um, I had to talk with the utility companies in order that they supply the electricity and the gas necessary to these devices too. Sometimes I had troubles because he didn't accomplish the deadlines, and I had to take control about the communication between the suppliers because sometimes he didn't understand each to other. At the end, I accomplished the deadline, but it was so hard.
So what was your lesson learned?
That the communication is very important. You have to establish a good plan. After that, you have to manage the communication in a properly way and take a good control of the communication.
Yeah, very good. So yeah,
Yes.
it's not enough to have a plan. You've got to
No. The
manage.
plan is the first step.
Very
After
good.
that, yes. The plan is the first step. After that, you have to manage the communication in the proper way and take a good control of the communication. I think the third steps are very important.
They certainly are.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Jose. All right. Saiban, can you give us an example as well?
Of course, teacher.
Go ahead.
Okay. For me, I was working for private, not private, let's say the not private. What's the against private? I'm sorry.
Public.
The public. I'm sorry. Yeah. The public sector. To be more specific, the government sector. So I was working as a traffic commissioner and I still working as a traffic commissioner, but I was working as a programmer for a traffic department. So I had I create a database and I have to charge every. I have to let's say enter or write down everything, every ticket, the traffic ticket that it is given to the driver. It comes to me. It comes to me. It used to come to me, and then I have to enter this, let's say, enter this traffic ticket in my database every day. So I have every day I have to enter 100 above 100 ticket in my database, and what I'm just trying to say, the project was very loud. Let's say the project was very big and mass, it's like a giant project. Okay.
Well,
sorry.
The larger a project is, the more careful you have to be with the planning, managing, and controlling, right? A mistake at any point can cause massive delays or even cost overruns. Well, thank you, guys. So that was our first round of discussions on project communications management. For the next round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 minutes, but I'm going to have you have a conversation with your fellow student. Again, what I want to listen for is I want to hear you guys using the vocabulary that you see on the screen. So project communications, managed communications, control communications. Several of you have been doing that. But also look at some of the other words I've highlighted, right? It's about the planning, collection, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, and so on of information, specifically project information. During this phase, be mindful of how much time you and your partner is speaking to ensure that you get a fair and equal amount of talk time. So first pair will be Alan and Amp. Are you two ready?
Okay.
Okay, again, the focus is on communications. However, you can go off into discussing scope, schedule, and all that other stuff as it relates to communications. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question for you. In your company, do you have a management communication?
Well, it's supposed we have a manager, but probably he doesn't have the abilities to that he have to consider all these steps before develop a plan to develop a project, and that is the problem, because sometimes just they are in rush, and I think that if they start the project and then the things that are being developing, that is the big mistake.
Okay. You have one person that is in charge for the communication. In my company, we have a department of communication, but it's like a human resource department.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
send mails and say something, but I don't know if someone take attention of this email in your company. Happen that similar thing? The people
Yes,
is communicating?
generally because of the rush, they are in rush and they don't think twice before starting a project, and then that is when they found that the project have extra costs, for example, because they are just buying some material that they are going to use for a project right now with a price. But if the project is a big one that is going to long for example 2 years, after two years the things are not going to have the same price, and there are just they don't have a appropriate plan about that, and or they don't have enough communication with the owners of the project, the project stakeholder. I think yeah, it's a very common here. I don't know, you have an experience like that?
In my opinion, I think that the people try to communicate, try to say something, try to say to another person, send an email, saying meet a briefing of the project or something like that. But the person don't understand, and there is when we don't have a control communication. We don't know if the person catch the
Yeah,
messages.
the problem is that sometimes the requirements are not written down.
Oh, what did you say are not written down?
The requirements.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm not gonna forget I heard that. That's really bad. Requirements have to be written down. We talked about a work breakdown structure when we were dealing with scope management earlier. If you don't have the requirements written down, you've got no scope management. Wow. Okay. That's bad. But thank you very much, guys. Next, we have Jacqueline and Anna. Are you ladies ready?
Let's see. I don't know. Oh my God. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, Anna.
Uh, well, uh, wh- mm, who do you work for? And where? Oh my gosh.
Don't worry. Anna, explain me in your job.
No, I asked you first.
Uh,
Where you've been? Oh my gosh, where have you been working and who you work for?
okay, I work at National University of Colombia. I work
Okay.
in the seat in the center development. Um, I don't remember the name of the center, and in that place we use work at projects. Every office has a different project. In my case, my project is about supervision of contracts in tourism. And in your office or in your work, you work at projects or at functional area in the company.
I I work as a dentist, but also I have to develop some projects, but in my field, um, related to the case and prevention and things like that, and in some schools and inside the community, you know.
And how is the communication with the stakeholders, and especially with the community?
We don't have shareholders because it's
Oh,
it's
let me
for
interrupt. Everybody has stakeholders. Yes.
no.
Yes. Yes.
So could you clarify for me the
Sure.
meaning?
I'd love to. So on a project, a stakeholder is anyone that is impacted by the project either positively or negatively.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Yes. Could you repeat your question, please,
In
Jacqueline?
your project, how do you management the communication with the stakeholders, especially with the community?
Okay. We have some people who are working with us as our community liaisons, and they are called the community agents, and they know their habits and things like that. They even know the kind of home that they have, and things like that. The level of education, everything.
Thank you, Anna. And Anna, that was, I'm glad you asked that question about stakeholders. That's very important too. Remember, these classes, the primary requirement that I have is to impart project management vocabulary or terminology and phrases for you guys. So it's very important to know what a stakeholder is. Okay, next we have Jongmin and Jose. Now Jongmin has just joined us, so he's probably not had a chance to read a lot yet, but we're going to have a 3-minute conversation here, Jongmin and Jose, and it's a conversation about project management. It's a conversation about project communications management, and it's a conversation about how project communications management affects the success of the project, how it impacts on scope and other constraints. So Zhongmin and Jose, gentlemen, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, Johnny.
Hi, Jose.
Hello. Do you have any experience about management and the communication?
Yes, I'm not a manager, but like I'm working under my project manager, so I guess I have some experience in project management, project participation, and that kind of stuff. So what about you? Do you have any experience in project management or like or that
Yes,
stuff?
yes. 2 years ago, I was responsible of establish the project communication management in my school. I work as a teacher, and I was in charge of this task. The first step that I had to do is establish a good plan of communication. After that, I had to manage the communication in the proper way, and the last one was to establish a good control about the communication between teachers and between the teachers and the parents of the students. And do you follow the three steps of project communication management?
Well, I guess that. But did you ask me about project communication?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that.
Do you establish a plan communication management? Do you establish a good manage communication, and after that, do you take control about the communication?
No, I don't control. I'm still junior level analyst, so I don't take that kind of control. I don't have that kind of control. But definitely communication management and some other project schedule later on.
Yes.
So, but yeah. So I also think that is pretty critical in terms of success of project and like, making things happen. So, yeah. That's what.
The control of communication was not so good.
You mean about wasn't good, meaning that.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Your time is up.
Okay.
All right. Well, that gives us enough time for another round, and I'm actually gonna. I know I haven't forgotten about Saiban. I'm actually gonna pair Saiban with Alan, and at the end of this round, then Saiban will have a conversation with me. I just want to keep the flow going. So Saiban and Alan, when you guys have your conversation, I want you to talk about a couple of constraints. I want you to talk about the constraint of time related to schedule, the constraint of money, right, related to budget, and even the constraint of scope. So there's really three. So we're talking about communications and how is it important to making sure we don't go over budget and all those other wonderful things. So gentlemen, go ahead. You have 3 minutes starting now.
Okay, Alan, are you ready?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. So okay, we'll have 3 minutes talking about what's just the teacher mentioned. So I'll just open up the conversation by just saying what I haven't finished from the last round. So just a quick explanation. About I just explained everything about the project that I have participated, and about me the misconception. I mean, the connection was poor for our project, and there was not enough money, enough fund to support our project. That's why we rely on the Excel, or let's say Access, as a database program to build our database. Although we have had a lot of chance to get started with Oracle or the stronger, the more strong, database program. So I don't know about your Alan, Microsoft. Yes. How about you?
You work
Yeah.
in an IT company. You're talking about project from for IT.
Yeah. How did you have? Did you have? Did you have like for your project? Have you participated in any project that you didn't have enough money to support your project?
We are working in a project about a contract, a large contract with a mining company in Chile. We use Access in that case. We use Microsoft Access. The thing is, we are working out in the project. What is the name of the project? Escondida Water Supply, and we are sending the scope of the project is to send a lot of material, of raw materials or bulk materials to the construction, but we have a lot of delay in the deliver. We are running out with the costs. They are so expensive.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. All right, Amp and Anna. Again, if you can continue talking about communications management, but bring up those 3 constraints that I talked about: time, scope, and of course, cost. Go ahead, please. 3 minutes starting now.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think in your area is the most important constraint that you can find in the job that you are developing?
The most important constraint.
That delay the project, for example. What is?
My gosh. Hold on. This I have to rely on these suppliers because I need the material to work, and well, to see results in decreasing tooth decay rates, people have to be aware that they are also responsible, because it's like try to dry ice if you are just filling cavities and performing treatments and they are unable to take care of themselves and to follow simple instructions and things like that,
So
because
for you,
they come back over and over again, and they see to how demands from us are decreasing in these rates,
For you, the people is part of your constraint.
Not the people, their behavior, their willingness to take some responsibility as well, and also the suppliers, because if there is a lack of material, there is no way to work.
Yes, but it generally is because of the cost, or because why don't you have the enough material, or do you don't maybe don't did you don't did you don't do a plan with the amount of material that you are going to require for the month, for example?
No, we we make a plan. I always make, but you know how politicians are in my country, and
Work for the
and
government,
uh,
a public.
they yes, it's the government, and they have some, my gosh, a BIDS teacher
Yeah,
to choose
sorry,
a
I
company.
silenced the alarm too quickly. Sorry, what was your question?
When the government uh, chooses a company,
Oh, yeah, the
it's
procurement.
called a bid.
Yeah, so you have the bidding process, and you would have a request for tender, request for proposal, request for information, or a request for quotation.
Okay, thank you.
That's, at least in Canada, that's how we do it. All right, thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. So again, to summarize, there are 3 constraints. Those are cost, time, and scope. Time is also known as schedule. All right, next we have Jacqueline and Zhongming. You guys have 3 minutes to discuss project communications in relation to the other aspects of project management and how they impact. So guys, go ahead. You have 3 minutes starting now.
Hi.
Okay, hello.
Hello. In your company, it's important the communication for develop the project?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of meeting some deadline and like just yeah, definitely communication for our project is pretty critical. So yeah, indeed.
And what is the most important impact in the proper communication for this to succeed the project in your company?
I guess that in my company, like timeline for the project that we are working on is pretty critical because like once we are behind a particular step to make our project happen, then like all other stuff or other next steps are kind of behind as well. So which is why I think that time constraint is pretty critical in accomplishing our project. What about you? What would be what's the most important aspect of constraint?
In my job, in the area of the communication, it's very important to obtain the goals and the objective of the projects. And for that reason, we always communicate by emails. Everything in my office is writing. There are no informal information. Only is a formal with formal letters or something like that.
Okay.
And in your job, there are informal or formal communications.
Definitely. Actually, when we are working on a project, we are not that formal but when it comes to meeting a client and then negotiating with the client, then we should be formal and.
Thank you, guys. So one thing I want to bring up here that's very important. You mentioned informal versus formal communications, and I think it was more or less whether it's codified or not. Codified meaning to write down, to types, to have a record someplace. Now keep in mind, if it's not written down someplace, well, it didn't happen. This is very important for contracts too, that you want to log things, put it down, put them in an email. I'm not saying email is the best form of communication. Sometimes you need to have a discussion first, then send out a summary email so that everybody can agree that this is what was said. So always keep that in mind. I think there's a law in the common law system that says a verbal contract is binding. However, if the verbal contract is for about $10 million and you didn't get a written contract, good luck trying to get it enforced. All right, thank you very much. Okay, last but not least, we have Jose and Saiban. So again, gentlemen, what we're looking for here is a conversation about project communications management and how it impacts all parts of the project, including the constraints. Go ahead, please.
Hi.
Have you heard my problem in my project that I have just mentioned in the last 2 rounds?
Yes, I have the problem.
Okay, so my problem was it was very I mean it was in the app in the app causes me a lot of trouble. Because of our department that I worked on was a branch of the main department, so we have to charge to give the customer or the driver who has a violation and send him to the main department to pay the ticket, to waive it, I mean to pay or the money that he should have to pay it because of the ticket that he had, and then coming back to us. This was a really our big concern, because a lot of problem to us was our main problem, because of sometimes the customer didn't come back to us. How about you? How about your problem?
The communication was not so good.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
it wasn't good. Yeah, I don't want to, I mean, waste time. Just give you a chance to speak. How about you?
Yes, my problem was that the principal didn't establish a good plan of communication, and after that, all the time we are in trouble with the schedule, with the budget, with the scope, with the schedule, because the schedule affected to the time, the budget affected to the cost, and the scope affected to the resources. I think it was my problem that the mayor didn't establish a good communication plan.
Yeah,
All the times we were in troubles.
yeah, it was the same problem. I mean, it was they say it's really close to our problem, that the poor communication with each other. So and we have to update the database, and because of the delay or postponing or didn't coming back the customer, we have to wait for him for 3 days just
Yes.
to update our database.
You didn't accomplish any deadline.
We try,
Yeah.
and finally they say okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, gentlemen.
It's clear. It's clear.
You actually got a few more seconds more than I planned, because in the last few seconds I thought I'm going to offer another project management class this weekend, and I'm not going to make it late in the day for people like Jose.
Okay.
On Sunday.
What time is this class? What day?
If you'd let me finish.
On Sunday. Yeah. Sorry.
So
Sunday.
on Sunday,
Yes.
10 o'clock Eastern time, which is about 11 o'clock in Brazil, so it's
Yes.
morning time for most of the Americas, and it's early
Okay.
afternoon for Europe. So
okay.
that class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot ahead a little bit to chapter 11 of the PMBOK, and this is actually a very, very important section. So this has to do with project risk management. This is huge. So a lot of the problems we've talked about today and in the past we should have known about this, right? We should have known we could have had problems with communications. And we need to identify what the risks are. So part of this planning process is to identify what risks are for the project. And then there's the analysis stage, okay? So we look at prioritizing the risks. So we do a qualitative analysis and a quantitative analysis. And really, it's all about controlling those risks. So once we identify them, we do some analysis, we know the impact and the risk, or the impact and the probability of it happening, and then we can start to control it. Okay, so I'm going to do this on Sunday. So I just published it now, so it's not reserved, but if you're interested, reserve it now because these classes go by very quickly, especially that 10 o'clock time slot. All right, so I've got about a minute to sum up what we did here today. We talked about communication. Now let's stop sharing here. We talked about communication, and we talked specifically about planning communication. We talked about managing it, and we talked about controlling it. So communication involves everything from gathering requirements of stakeholders on how they want to be communicated, to the entire communication process, to the disposition of information that's collected, organization, analysis, everything that's involved. Great, we've got a plan. We need to manage that plan. And we need to ensure that if something changes, we can deal with it. Does it go against the plan? Do we change the plan? Or do we change the process? Okay, you guys are doing well. Now some of you think like, oh, I don't know this very well, I'm not good at the vocabulary. But the fact that you're attending, you're learning the vocabulary, you're going to improve. What I'm going to do after we complete chapter 12, which is the last, or I think it's the last chapter, it might be chapter 13, I'm going to start over at the beginning. And because we're talking about experiences and because we're talking about general knowledge areas, there's always something new to talk about. Okay, guys?
Okay, Simon.
Thank you so much for attending. I hope you have yourselves a great weekend. For those of you joining me tomorrow for class and Sunday,
The same to you.
see you soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
See ya. Bye. Bye.